Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Satatam Kirtayanto Mam.
Satatam Kirtayato Mam.
Yatantascha Didavritam.
Yatastadaschi Diravrata.
Namasyantascha Mam Bhaktya.
Namastasya Chidim Bhakta.
Nitya Yukta Upasati.
Nitya Yukta Upasati.
Translation. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. Purported by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Rupa Ki Jai. The Mahatma cannot be manufactured by rubber stamping an ordinary man. His symptoms are described here. A Mahatma is always engaged in chanting the glories of the Supreme Lord, Krishna, the personality of Godhead. He has no other business. He is always engaged in the glorification of the Lord. In other words, he is not an impersonalist. When the question of glorification is there, one has to glorify the Supreme Lord, praising His holy name, His eternal form, His transcendental qualities, and His uncommon pastimes. One has to glorify all these things. Therefore, a Mahatma is attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who is attached to the impersonal feature of the Supreme Lord, the Brahma Jyoti, is not described as Mahatma in the Bhagavad Gita. It is described in a different way in the next verse. The Mahatma is always engaged in different activities of devotional service, as described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing and chanting about Vishnu, not a demigod or human being. That is devotion. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, and remembering Him. Such a Mahatma has firm determination to achieve at the ultimate end the association of the Supreme Lord in any one of the 5 transcendental rasas. To achieve that success, he engages all activities, mental, bodily and vocal, everything in the service of the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. That is called full Krishna consciousness. In devotional service, there are certain activities which are called determined, such as fasting on certain days, like the 11th day of the moon, Ekadashi, and on the appearance day of the Lord, etc. All these rules and regulations are offered by the great acharyas for those who are actually interested in getting admission into the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the transcendental world. The Mahatmas, great souls, strictly observe all these rules and regulations, and therefore they are sure to achieve the desired results. As described in the 2nd verse of this chapter, this devotional service is not only easy, but it can be performed in a happy mood. One does not need to undergo any severe penance and austerity. He can live in this life in devotional service, guided by an expert spiritual master, and in any position, either as a householder, or a sannyasi, or a brahmachari, in any position and anywhere in the world, he can perform this devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus become actually Mahatma, a great soul. Om Agyantirinandasya Gyanajana Shalakaya Chakshunamritam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. I offer my humble obeisances unto my spiritual master, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Just open my darkened eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. So, thank you for coming today. This is a shloka from the Bhagavad Gita, as it is translated and commented, explained by our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. Krishna says, always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. So this is the real definition of God consciousness. God consciousness is not a religion, is not faith, is not a sentiment. It is the supreme science. It is the supreme knowledge. It is perfectly reasonable to glorify the Lord. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has given us everything. Everything. He's giving us the air we breathe, the food we take. He's giving us the intelligence. He's giving us the memory. He's giving us remembrance. And He's also giving us forgetfulness, if we so desire. If you want to forget the Lord, Krishna, then Krishna will cover your intelligence, so you will not remember him. Millions and millions of lifetimes. Bahunam janmanamanti jnanamam prapadyanti. For after many millions of lifetimes, one who is truly in knowledge surrenders unto me, Vasudeva. Why? Because he understands that Vasudeva, Krishna, the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the cause of all causes. All that is. God is not limited to a sectarian concept. I'm a Christian, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Hindu, I'm a Buddhist. God is the Supreme. You cannot fit God into some box, into some designation. So, this is the prime duty of human form of life, to glorify the Lord. Just like what Jesus says. Love God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. That's it. That is God consciousness. This is pure God consciousness. See, there are many people, they approach God for so many things. Even in India, people taking up spiritual life for all kinds of material reasons. Oh God, give me this, give me that. And because God does not give, I take shelter of some demigods. For example, Lord Shiva is very easily pleased. But he's also very easily angered. That's what the demigod worshippers, they do not understand. So, when one worships Vishnu or Hari, Hari means he takes away. He takes away all your material, so-called comfortable position in order to make you surrendered fully. This is the Supreme Lord. So not everyone is taking shelter of the Supreme Lord. Because then my material facilities will be finished. Then I will have to become pure, and that's what we don't like. We don't like to be pure. That's why we sometimes kill these saints who come here from the Transcendental Kingdom. Because we don't like to hear their message. We become averse, and we take up something that is not religion, in the name of religion. In the name of religion, we take up something that is not religion. There's so many misconceptions in the world. So here, the supreme theistic science, the Bhagavad Gita as it is here, brought by our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, to give the light to these misguided people and show them the God scientifically. Not based on sentiment, although sentiment is very good. If you approach God for any reason, that is very nice, that is very good. It is way, way, way much better than an atheist. Someone who does not glorify the Lord, simply takes advantage of the facilities God has provided. So he's good. But the Bhagavad Gita gives us a scientific explanation of God, and scientific explanation of devotional service to God. God, that is a very vague terminology, a very vague concept. What is God? Who is God? God is the Creator. God is the Father. But this is not enough. In order to understand God, we also have to understand the process of how to understand God. That process is different from the mundane knowledge. Mundane knowledge means let me exploit the resources of material energy as much as possible. And then let me learn some science so I can construct an atomic bomb, so I can drop it on someone's head and kill him. This is material knowledge. Material knowledge means I want to be God, and that's why I inquire how to be God, how to be the supreme enjoyer, how to be the supreme controller. See, the modern universities, they're producing these so-called gods who simply try to create disturbance in this world. So Bhagavad Gita is not like that. The topmost theistic science starts with surrender. Surrender. This is the absolute necessity. If we want to understand God, we have to surrender. We have to admit that we're not controlling anything in this world. We are being controlled in every step of our life, and every step we'll be controlled. We're not the controller, we are controlled. And if we do not understand God, if we do not serve God, then we're serving Maya, material energy. Our senses, our lust, our anger, our greeds. Maya, in other words, is Satan. We are following the dictates of Satan. We have to follow the dictates of someone, because we're the minute parts and parcels of the Lord. We're not the supreme. We have no jurisdiction. We have no area to control. Even our own mind we cannot control. So, these great souls are described as they chant the glories of the Lord constantly. Constantly. This is that has not been ever given before. That we worship God constantly, 24 hours a day. What is the use of working hard like an ass? What is the use? The animal is not working. The elephant is not working in a jungle. Still, the Lord supplies. Elephant can eat way much more than you can ever imagine. But he doesn't work. God supplies. So, why not surrender God? Why not surrender to God fully? Fully. And He will take charge of all your necessities. Under one condition, that you glorify Him constantly. So this is Krishna consciousness. You glorify God constantly. And what is the better way than to chant His holy name? Hallowed be Thy name. O Lord, hallowed be Thy name. Let your holy name be glorified. So Lord Jesus has given us a hint. This is the process of how to understand God in this age. Glorification of His name. But He did not reveal that name because people were not ready to understand it, to accept it. Simply He spoke that you follow His 10 commandments. You love your enemy, turn the other cheek, and they killed him. So what to speak of delivering them the holy name of God? The information about His form. See, God is a form. I have a form. God must have a form. There's a foolishness that God has no form, that God is impersonal, or that we cannot know the form. If you don't know the form of God, how can you become in love with God? There's common sense. You have to engage all your senses in God consciousness, not simply your ears, but also your eyes. And that is why we worship God in His transcendental form. That form is not mundane. It's not a mundane form like my form. No. Krishna's form is transcendental. It is not controlled by anything. He can do anything and everything He likes. Just like we are trying to imitate Krishna in this mundane world. We want to do anything and everything we like. But, because there are so many other so-called gods who also try to do anything and everything they like, there's a clash. There's a clash. And because there's a clash, I should, rule number one, understand that I am not God. I am not supreme. So that is a Mahatma. One who understands, I am not supreme. Krishna is the supreme. And my duty is to glorify Him constantly. Nityam Bhagavata Sivayam. Just like the recommended process of how to purify all these dirty things in the heart. You hear about God. See, our spiritual master has brought us all this valuable information about God. What is His name? What is His form? What are His pastimes? What does He do in the kingdom of God? Who are His associates? How He creates this material world. How He acts through His different energies. Earth, water, fire, air, ether. These are the 5 elements from which all the manifestations in the material world are consisting of. Earth, water, fire, air, ether. And our senses correspond to these 5 elements. Earth corresponds to the sense of smell. You can smell the earth. Water, you can taste the water. Earth, water, fire. You can see the fire, the form. Fire. Earth, water, fire, air. Air. Air you can touch. Ether you can hear. You see? So how much we're attached to this material world. All our senses are connected to the material elements. It's very difficult to get out. Samahatma Sudurlabha, that great soul who is engaging his senses in God consciousness, is very difficult to find. So, this is Krishna consciousness. Not simply the ears hearing the prayer, not simply the tongue reciting the prayer, but engage your eyes in meditation on the beautiful form of Krishna. God is the topmost beautiful person in the whole world. And we challenge, it is an open challenge. You bring a better God than Krishna, the more beautiful, the more rich, the more famous than Krishna. And then we will accept Him. But because you do not have any concept, any form, any of these confidential information, why not accept Krishna? What is the difficulty? If you are after God and I give you this information, why don't you take it up? Why don't you? And if we take up this Krishna consciousness, we engage all our senses in God consciousness. If we do not engage all our senses, if we do not know the form of God, then we must meditate on some mundane form, on some woman, or for girls, on some man who will meditate. We have to meditate because that is the nature of the mind. We have to meditate on someone. That is natural. So, if we fill up our minds with this wonderful information from the Bhagavad Gita, about the transitive pastimes of Krishna, about His name, about His form, about His activities, and so on and so on, there will be no space for Maya, Satan, to penetrate. No gap policy. No gap policy, just like we were chanting. Right? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. We started slowly, and then increased, and there was no gap. We just naturally flowed into the Gaurati, and now we have a class, and there's prasadam, and this is how we live, day by day, always engage in the service of God. It's practical. We're not working, we don't have a job, but somehow Krishna, God supplies. Somehow God supplies. So this is the living example that God exists, that He takes care of His surrendered souls. So He will also take care of you. He says, He gives a promise, Sarva dharma parityaja mamekam saranam rajamam tvam sarva papebhyo mukshayashami masucha. Masucha, don't doubt, don't worry, do not be afraid. I will take charge of you. Simply you surrender unto me, and you give up all other engagements. What is the use of these engagements? Trying to satisfy the body. I will have to give up the body. I am not the body, I am not the flesh, I am the soul. So, the bodily necessities, they are automatically taken care of by your karma. Material energy acts under the law of karma. So whatever you're supposed to enjoy, whatever happiness you're supposed to enjoy, that you will enjoy. Do not be afraid. That is already destined. Whether you try for it or not, that is already destined. And similarly, all the sufferings you're supposed to suffer for the simple activities you perform in your previous lifetimes, that you have to suffer also. That you cannot avoid. You can try to escape your karma, but you cannot. The only escape is if you surrender. If you surrender. Krishna, yes. Now, all the mental speculation is finished. Now, I will give up my so-called trying to solve all these problems on my own. And I dedicate my life to your service. This is surrender. So that is a real Mahatma, not a rascal who worships demigods or who preaches the impersonal concept of God. God is some kind of an energy. You can worship Him in any way, in every way. Right? It's idol worship. This is very much detrimental. It is not God worship. Make up some kind of a manufactured form. Your imagination create form. The form of Krishna is not an imagination. It has been given to us through the bona fide sources of the disciplic succession. Just like in Brahma Samhita, Venum Kvanam Tam Maravinda Shalakayaksham. There's description. Brahma Samhita is the scripture which has been given even before the material universe was created. It's so old. Just imagine. Before the material universe was created, Brahma Samhita was already there. So in that Brahma Samhita, we have a direct description of what is God's form. It is mentioned that He plays on the fruits. He plays on the fruits. God is simple. We have made this world very complicated. We think that God must be, with an iPhone. He must have an iPhone. God. No, He's very simple. He has a flute and He plays flutes. But when He plays His flutes, even Lord Shiva becomes distracted in his meditation. It is so enchanting. That song that plays on his flute is so enchanting that all the living entities are being completely distracted from whatever they're doing. It is impossible to refrain ourselves from the calling of Krishna. You see, so Brahma Samhita has been given with the description of how God looks like. He plays the flute. He has a dark skin, and so on, so on. So that is not a manufactured form. When we speak of manufactured, it's going on in the material world. So, but before the material world is created, there's no question of creation. No question of creation. Idol worship means it is created, right? Someone created the form of God. But if that description is given even before the material universe started, before the material time started clicking, how can we consider that a material form? That is great foolishness. Okay, so it is the mercy of Krishna that He manifests His form through these material elements. Because these material elements are coming ultimately from God, from Krishna, then what is the difficulty for God to manifest His transcendental form through these elements? What is the difficulty? He can do that. He is omniscient. He can do anything and everything. So, in this way, in very convenient way, we can worship God. Although we have material senses, although we live in a material world where everything is limited, out of His mercy, Krishna has entered this material creation, so He can attract us to the unlimited spiritual world, and so we can become liberated from this existence. And as we have this positive information, there's no question of getting out. Because all our activities are based on pleasure. We're always looking for happiness, for pleasure. And if we do not derive pleasure from the Supreme Lords, from discussion about His pastimes, about His form, and so on and so on, then we have to either deny the material form and then come back again, or fully indulge in the material form and become degraded more and more. Just like you see so many people are so much entangled in this material sense gratification, enjoying sex life, on and on and on and on, taking drugs, on and on and on. And the more they try to enjoy, the more unhappy they are. You see, just like a fire, Krishna says, it's like a fire. The more oil you put in the fire, the more it grows. Similarly, the more we try to satisfy our lust, our greed, our anger, and so on, so on, the more the greed and lust grows. See, that is not the way. But if you engage your lust in the service of Krishna, if you engage your anger in the service of protecting Krishna's devotees, if you engage your greeds in taking Krishna prasadam, then that becomes spiritualized. So this is the way out of this material world. The real Mahatma is constantly engaged in glorification of God. And this is what Krishna consciousness is all about. So, any questions? No questions? Are you ready to join? Yes?
Pretty good.
Okay.
What about you, Dharma?
Yeah, I'm ready.
You ready to join?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And that's why I think I don't have any questions, but I just hear you join. So it's like is it something that really you join or you feel and you start to adjust your life, your way of life, I feel.
What does it mean to join?
Yeah, exactly. How do you see that? It depends on the background of everyone, I guess.
Yes.
And it's not the same intensity or the same rhythm for everyone, I guess.
Well, it depends on people, but everyone has that potential to become fully realized. So, it is very simple. You chant Hare Krishna. Chant Hare Krishna as much as possible. And render some service to Krishna. That is joining, We have the facility here.
The reading, I guess.
Well, yes, of course. If we do not hear, then we cannot remain convinced. It's a process. But the principle stays the same. Why am I depending on so many material causes? Why not surrender to Krishna fully? And He will take charge. Even we might not understand fully. Right? There's in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's mentioned that even if one gives up all his material duties and takes up Krishna consciousness and later on he falls down, there's no loss on his part. Krishna will appreciate it. Oh, this person was very courageous. He tried to surrender even without knowing exactly what to do. The principle is the same. If you want to surrender, Krishna will give assistance. If you don't want to surrender, Krishna will give you the intelligence how not to surrender. But the principle is the same. So it's very easy. Chant Hare Krishna, read the wonderful scriptures here. Yeah, there's so many. The Bhagavad Gita is the ABCD, and we have the Krishna book, which describes the activities of God minutely. What is He doing in the kingdom of God? And then Srimad Bhagavatam, so many, no shortage. And by reading these books, you will forget about your mom, your dad, your so-called job, your school, your position, your nationality. All these things are illusory, because at the time of death, we have to give them up. You see? So we're not paying attention to the important thing, and that is God. That is the most important personality. We have forgotten because we're so much entangled in trying to solve the material problems. You cannot solve them. You cannot solve them. That is your foolishness. But if you surrender to Krishna, then Krishna will solve all the problems for you. You don't have to be afraid. Your only duty is to glorify Him constantly. So if you're ready to do that, we're ready to give you the facilities here, but it is not so easy. So we ask everyone to come here and first of all inquire, what is this philosophy about? What is this philosophy about? And then when we see that someone is genuinely interested, then we give him the facilities. He can move here and practice with us. Any other questions?
You said that your pleasure, what you're supposed to enjoy in life is already predetermined.
Yes.
When we're reading in the intro to the Gita, it says karma can change though. Karma is an element that can change.
Yes.
So when your karma changes, this is what you're enjoying. Does that increase? Change your destiny, basically.
There are 5 topics in the Bhagavad Gita: God, the living entity, material nature, time, and karma. So, except karma, all the other ones are eternal. Karma is not eternal. Karma is the action pertaining to the development of the material body. See, this body is created by our previous karma. Karma means material activity also, you can say like that. Material activity. So devotional service is not material activity. Material activity means I do this for my sense gratification. And because I do it for my sense gratification, I create another material body. Okay? Working so much, having so many desires, one lifetime is not sufficient to satisfy all the results. If people are working hard, it's like, I have no time, I got to work. They're so foolish because by their work, they're actually preparing next body. Not just one, many bodies in the future. You see? So, if you start rendering devotional service, this is a huge difference. Because devotional service, there's no karma, there's no reaction. Why? Because we perform devotional service for the pleasure of Krishna. Just like a soldier is killing on a battlefield, he kills many people, he gets a golden medal. Because he is killing on behalf of the government. Now, that same soldier comes downtown Montreal, starts shooting people immediately, he's arrested, put in prison. There's a difference. So, a devotee, he is doing everything, just like an ordinary person. Activities. He's eating, he's sleeping, he's earning money sometimes, he's doing everything. But the result he does not enjoy. The result goes to Krishna. This is a huge difference. Because the result goes to Krishna, he does not enjoy the result, he does not have to suffer the consequences. Krishna will take charge. Whatever you have performed, even some mistake, Krishna will take responsibility. So then there's no karma. That is why karma is not eternal. Because we can transfer that material activity into devotional service. And then when the karma is finished. Does it answer your question?
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. At that point, it's no longer karma. There's a big difference. You're chanting, come on baby, light my fire. You can use the same mridanga. Play, come on baby, light my fire. It's karma. And the same mridanga, you play Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. It's devotional service. We might have the same building here, same place. If we use this for our sense gratification, it's material. It's karma. We have to, suffer the consequences. And if we use it for Krishna, there are no consequences. But then we have to study how to perform devotional service under the guidance of the spiritual master. Not whimsically, that I do this for Krishna, now I go downtown and kill people. It's for Krishna. No. Spiritual master has to give permission. He has to guide you. Yes, this is good for Krishna service. This is not good. You want to offer this to Krishna? Yes, this is very good. This, we don't offer to Krishna. Don't offer this. Like that. So unless one accepts a spiritual master, there's no question of devotional service. Someone might be even chanting Hare Krishna mantra, but because he's not guided by the bona fide spiritual master, he's chanting for some other reason. There is also karma. Someone wants to become a very good musician and chanting Hare Krishna to make money, and it's karma. Offensive.
You materialize the spiritual.
That's right. That's right. And the spiritual master, he spiritualizes the material. That is his duty. Yeah. So ultimately, we don't have to give up anything. You can be anywhere, everywhere. You can work, you can be a brahmachari living in a temple. The point is to change your consciousness. Working hard, in a factory, you're doing some very dirty work, but you dedicate the result of your work to Krishna, then you're better than a big sannyasi with a danda. Better than that. Sannyasi with a danda who's simply eating nicely and collecting money for his sense gratification. There's no limitation how to perform devotional service. Arjuna was a soldier, killing. He was not chanting rounds exactly. But Krishna says, Yurinama Pisarasha, you're the best of all yogis. Why? Because you always think of me. While performing your duty, you always think of me. See, that is also not sentimental, that I think of Krishna while I'm working. No. You can only think of Krishna while working if you dedicate the result of your work to Krishna. And then you think of Krishna. Yeah, I'm doing this for Krishna. But if you don't dedicate the result of your work to Krishna, then how are you making a surety I'm thinking of Krishna? Yeah, I'm thinking of Krishna, I'm doing it for Krishna, but ultimately when I get the result, I enjoy the result very nicely. So that is not true, I'd be thinking of Krishna. So, yeah. We're so much attached to the body, we cannot tolerate fasting. Cannot tolerate. Senses are so powerful. You can go without foodstuff for 30 days, I think. You can manage. You can live without foodstuff eating for 30 days, no problem. But one day, Ekadashi, Janmashtami, we're all, oh my God, oh, this is so horrible. So much we're attached to the sense gratification. Sense gratification means unnecessary pleasure, unnecessary enjoyment. You know, we have to keep the body together. We have to supply the food, but not unnecessary. And this we have to give up. And then Krishna will give you whatever you need. He will supply. But we need so much, and then we're angry. Krishna doesn't supply. This is our problem. And there's no Krishna. You didn't give me sense gratification. Yeah, because you're not God. You're not an enjoyer. You're not God. You don't deserve this. You're exploiting. You're exploiting. Right? So many people are hungry in the world. You know, we're eating hamburgers and this and that, unnecessary killing poor animals. Yeah. God is not going to sanction this. If you surrender and then, oh, my hamburger, oh, I need a hamburger. God is not going to supply you things, you know, to degrade you. He's going to give you exactly what you need for survival. That is not an easy job, to give up sense gratification. You know? So we, if someone wants to join this organization, we